Welcome, Miss Appleby, to the
Hi,
round
Wayne.
table.
Oh, you're supposed to go like this.
I'm supposed to go like
Yeah.
this? What?
Wakanda forever? You haven't seen Black Panther?
Yeah, Wakanda forever, right? I'm slow. Oh, Lord of mercy. All right, so how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for stopping by today to share with us valuable information
Yes.
on retirement and just in general financial management. Um, Tell us a little about you. Tell us who is Miss Denise Appleby.
Well, I'm a retirement planning consultant.
Mm-hmm.
My clients are financial, tax, and legal advisors.
Okay.
So their clients are the consumers, and when they're working with the consumers and they want to know what the rules and regulations are, then they call me.
Wow, interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And so you're located here locally,
Yeah, I'm in Grayson, Georgia, to be exact.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
but my clients are all over the country.
Okay.
Yeah, I even consulted with a client yesterday who was in China.
Wow.
So,
Hey, the
yeah,
world's a stage with this internet
that's
thing.
right. That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Well, let's start as described as the basics. I hear a lot about IRAs, but we have some young listeners too.
Yeah.
We have a variety of listeners
Hmm.
who might be new to the subject. Can you give a brief explanation of how IRAs work?
Yes. And can I start by telling you why this is important? Yeah,
Absolutely.
because we're both from Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you remember as children when people returned home from foreign,
Right.
from England and America, and they were able to live a middle class life at least. Why? Because they had a pension coming in,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
they came home, they got the pension check every month.
Right.
And the problem is that doesn't exist anymore. There's no more pension because all the firms are changing from, all the employers are changing from the pension plan to what is referred to as a defined contribution plan. And what that means is when you retire, there's no more guaranteed pension income. So what does that mean for you and I
Yeah.
and the people who are listening? It
Right.
means that you're on your own when it comes to saving for retirement. You can't depend on anyone anymore to provide you with that guaranteed retirement income. And that is where IRAs come in.
Okay.
Because since you're on your own, then part of what you're going to have to do is make contributions to your IRAs. So that's a long way of getting to your question.
No, no, no. Very important way
Yeah,
of getting there. And
yeah,
that's why we have the expert here
right.
because you're right. That's great to point out. There are no guaranteed pensions pretty much
Anymore,
anymore.
anymore.
And so what do we do?
What do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do so that when we are ready to go back to Jamaica and settle in and enjoy the sun and the beach and the sand, how do we make sure that we do have that money to finance our retirement?
That's right.
We add money to IRAs. Now, the IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. So you as the individual set up your account yourself. You add money to it. There's a limit on how much you can put in every year.
Right.
And if you have money in, say, a 401k, you can roll it over to that IRA. So there are different ways you can fund it. But right now we're talking about regular contributions, which have to be made by April 17 for the 2017 tax year. So you put your money in your IRA.
Yeah.
If you're eligible, you can get a tax deduction. You can also get a saver's credit if you're eligible. Because part of the pushback that I get from consumers is, I can't afford to make this contribution. Well, it might be much cheaper than you think it is. Because you put in $5,000, you could get a tax deduction that cuts down some of the cost, right? You get a saver's credit that cuts down the cost even further. So check to see whether or not you're eligible for any of those credits. So you put the money in, it grows tax deferred, whether or not you get a tax deduction. Now, so the question becomes, when you're meeting with your tax advisor, what kind of conversation you're going to have? Because there are two types of IRAs.
Yeah.
There's a traditional IRA,
Okay.
and there's a Roth IRA.
Right.
And I'll hear some people say, well, the Roth IRA is the best. That's the one you got to do because in the end, when you start taking money out of the Roth IRA, you won't owe any income taxes on it. Whereas with the traditional IRA, you're going to owe income tax. But for those people, I say, there's never any one financial tax or retirement solution that fits everybody. Anybody who tells you that, you need to get some other financial advisor because that's not correct. you have to do some sort of analysis, some sort of
Yeah.
checks and balances to
Hmm.
see which one is most suitable for you.
Great, great,
Yeah.
great. Good to know. So we have two choices of IRAs. And IRAs, ladies and gentlemen, the way to go with a lack of a guaranteed pension. So why should anyone, though? Why should we, other than the fact, well, I guess you answered why
Yeah.
anyone should consider making a contribution to an IRA. Is
Right.
there any additional information on that as far as the obvious lack of a pension?
Yes. Yes.
Are there other
You know,
reasons, other benefits?
there are other benefits.
Hmm.
Retirement savings account. I heard you talking about retirement earlier with Steve.
Yes,
Because we all want to
it's a
retire.
wish.
Yeah, we all want to
Distant wish.
retire, and if possible, we want to retire young, right?
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Do you remember when you were a child and 50 was old?
Yeah, 50 looks so old.
Yeah, but
Gosh.
now 50 is young, and people are living until 90, and they're still young and sprite at 90. So life expectancy is longer.
Right.
That's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, when you live till 90, who's going to finance those years?
Yeah.
Where are you going to get money to buy even the basics?
That's
Food,
right.
right?
That's right. That's
You
right.
got to stuff as much in your retirement as much as you can, right? So that when you're ready to go back home or wherever it is, or even if you want to stay here,
Yeah.
you know you're going to get that check every month to pay your bills.
Very important. We're talking live with founder of Appleby Consulting Firm, Miss Denise Appleby, the CEO as well. And, we're learning a lot of important information here about, the retirement and how to go about it. How easy is it to make a contribution?
Excellent question, right? Because now, I've come across many consumers who are interested. They've been reading up a lot on IRAs and they agree that it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And so the next question is, how do I do this, right? Well, there are many options. You can walk into your local bank and open up an IRA, or you can call a brokerage firm. Many of them you can do it online now and open
Okay.
up an IRA.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to the type of investment that you want. If you talk, and I'm emphasizing this, right? If you talk to your tax and financial advisor and they say, well, a CD is good for you, then you can go to your local savings bank or commercial bank and
Right.
open that. But if your advisor say, you know what, you need something more diverse, you have enough money to invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and so on, then you want to go to a firm that offers that. So talk to your tax advisor. Whichever firm they recommend, then you can contact that firm. It's as easy as picking up the phone, calling a firm and say, I want to open an IRA, and they'll walk you through the process. Some will have you fill out physical paperwork, or some will do it over the phone, or some will have you do it online.
Great, great, great options. Good. So I walk into the bank or I go to the brokerage, call the brokerage
Yeah.
firm or, and I'm talking IRAs. And up comes the traditional that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Up comes the Roth. And so I'm like, Roth, traditional, which one do I choose? How do I know?
Well, there are some rules
Yeah.
that will force you in one direction as opposed to the other. For instance, with a traditional IRA, if you're at least age 70 and a half by the end of the year, you cannot make a regular contribution to a traditional IRA. So that excludes you from eligibility. Then the only thing now to do is a Roth. But the Roth is subject to an income limit that does not apply to traditional IRAs. So you got to look at the eligibility requirements first. And if you want to know what they are, can I give my free consumer website?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you go to retirementdictionary.com. That's retirementdictionary.com. That's my website. I wrote everything on there, so it's 100% accurate.
That's right.
Yeah. You go to that website and
Writing it down.
retirementdictionary.com, and you'll see what the eligibility requirements are for those two types of IRAs. So now, Wayne, the question becomes now, what if you're eligible for both?
Yeah, that's the thing.
How do you choose?
Yeah.
Right? Now, you had my friend here last week, Steve Jalal.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So
I would say talk to someone like Steve.
Okay.
He's a tax advisor, or talk to a financial advisor, and what they're going to do is perform a Roth versus traditional analysis that's going to say you're eligible for both, but here's why one's better than the other. And here's the good news though. Let's say you don't want to choose, right? You want to cut the baby in half. You can do
Oh, you
that.
could do both.
Yeah, you could put half in one and half in the other. But you got to be careful because the maximum contribution amount is 100% of whatever income you earn, or 5,500, whichever is less. And if you're at least age 50 by the end of the year, then you can put in an additional $1,000. Now, here's a mistake that some people make. They think, oh, I have a Roth, I have a traditional. Why don't I put 5,000 in the traditional, 5,000 in the Roth? Then they have $11,000.
Right.
You can't do that. That's too much. Because that's considered an excess contribution. That's a technical definition.
Excess contribution. All
Here's
right.
what happens when you have an excess contribution. It stays in the account if you don't fix it, and it accrues a 6% excise tax for every year it stays in there.
Wow.
Right? So you're looking at your account and you're feeling great because, you have all this money. And then you meet with a financial advisor who knows something about these accounts 5 years later, and you're saying, hang on a second. You have all this 6% penalty that you owe.
Yeah.
Right? And then you just feel deflated.
That's why she's here.
Yeah, so you got to make
See?
sure.
Excise.
Yeah, not only do you want to do it, but you want to make sure it's done right.
Yes.
Yes.
Miss Denise Appleby schooling me on all this stuff. I'm just here like a sponge, man. I'm soaking this all in. Great stuff. Great stuff. So there are situations though in which, like your workplace, the popular thing at workplaces is, to me, I think it's 401ks.
Yes.
And so from what I understand, if someone works for an employer with a 401k plan, that might affect IRA contribution. Just
Yes.
tell us about
Yeah.
IRAs, I guess, versus
401ks.
401s, and
Yeah.
is that true?
Yeah, that's
That's the
an
case.
excellent question, and I'm so glad you asked that because many people do ask me, I'm in a 401k, can I do an IRA? And the answer
Right.
is yes. However, if you're in a 401k, it might affect your eligibility to claim a tax deduction for your traditional IRA contribution. So that's something you want to check with your tax professional with. I'm putting in my money in a 401k. Can I take a deduction from a traditional IRA contribution? And even if you can't take a deduction, you can still make the contribution. But here's a tip though. If you can't take a deduction and you put it in traditional IRA, it grows tax deferred. When you take the money out, the earnings are taxed. So I say if you can't take a deduction, don't put it in a traditional IRA. Put it in a Roth. Here's why. Because eventually the earnings in the Roth are going to be tax-free. Now, how sweet that is, right? When you retire, you're getting that check every month. No income taxes owed, right? That's why many people love the Roth. But you still got to do that analysis to see if it's suitable for you. But in a case where you cannot take a deduction for the contribution, if your income does not exclude you from making the Roth contribution, then absolutely choose the Roth. And if your income is too much, there's still another way to get into the Roth. We call it the back door.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, you got to be an expert to know this one, right?
Whee!
So
That's right. That's why you're here. Denise.
yeah.
That's why you're here.
So, if you're not eligible to take a deduction for your traditional IRA contribution, your income is too much, so you can't make a contribution directly to a Roth, make your contribution to a traditional IRA and then convert it to a Roth. That's referred to as the backdoor Roth IRA contribution. There are several other technical factors that you need to think about, but I just want to make sure you know
Right.
it's there.
There's that option.
Yes.
That I didn't know. And you perhaps didn't know, but now we do because of the expertise of Miss Appleby here. Wow, very interesting. Some people are cautious about putting money in a 401k plan
Yeah.
because of the restrictions on making withdrawals. Now, what would you say to those people?
I'm going to tell you something. When I just came to this country, right, I used to work for a commercial bank. And I listened to my coworkers, and they would say to me, Denise, because they have HR come and they talk to you about the benefits of putting money in your 401k account. And my coworkers said to me, Denise, don't put your money in the 401k because you won't be able to touch it. You might never get it back, which is not true.
Not true.
It's your money. It is true that there are restrictions on withdrawals,
Right.
but that's a good thing.
Yes.
Here's why that's a good thing.
Okay.
When you look at the stats right now, the stats and the surveys that talk about how many Americans are ready for retirement from a financial perspective, the percentages are very low, right? And for those that have money saved, guess where that money is? 401k. You know why? In Jamaica, we say out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
If you can't touch it, you can't touch it.
Yeah.
So it's there. So it forces you to save. You know, my only tip is when you're trying to decide how much to put into your 401k,
Yeah.
set up a budget, you know, and treat it like an expense. Because you don't want to be maxing out your 401k contribution only to find out that, hey, you have no money to buy groceries and you're going to put it on a credit card with an 18-20% interest rate when you're only getting 5% on your 401k. That doesn't make sense. So you got to treat it like an expense, but make sure you do add money to your 401k account.
Awesome.
And sometimes your employer even gives you matching contributions. We refer to that as free money.
Right.
If
right.
you work for an employer that makes a matching contribution and you don't make contribution to get that, man, we have a word for you. I can't use it right here, you know. But
Wake up.
it's free money.
Wake up. Free money. That's
Yeah.
right. And maximize it too.
Maximize
if they
it, yeah.
do 5%, don't do 2.
Get all of it, man. Get all of
Get
it,
that
you know.
matching
You know,
contribution. Yeah.
we tend to look at our paycheck as our compensation, but your compensation package is not just your paycheck. It's your 401k matching contributions too. So if you don't take advantage of that, you're saying to your employer, I don't want your free
Right.
money.
And
Yeah.
you can't miss what you never had, man. If you just look at
Exactly.
that money, you're thinking you need it so bad, but you know what? If you didn't have it,
Yeah.
you would do just fine without it.
Exactly.
Speaking of employers, what would can an employer actually set up paying to a 401k as well?
Yeah. You know, I was reading some article the other day about employers in America, and most of the employers are small businesses. Would you believe that?
Right.
Most are small businesses. And
Wow.
guess what? Many of them are people like you and I or immigrants.
Okay.
You know, we set up these small businesses because we're entrepreneurs, right? You know, we're enterprising, you know, Tony and Make Fashion and all that
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Now, if you're self-employed, like me, you don't have any employers going to set up a 401k for you. So I have to do that myself. And the good news is you can set up different types of retirement plan for your small business, including a 401k. There's simplified versions of the 401k that's cheaper to maintain. You can do what is called a SEP IRA or a simple IRA. And you
Okay.
get a tax deduction for contributions that you put in. So, you know, don't be dissuaded by the fact that, oh, this is a cost. You're funding your retirement nest egg and you're getting a tax deduction. The money goes tax deferred. So you only pay income taxes when you eventually take it out when you retire.
Great, great, great. One of the things I'd like to ask before we ask for any, last minute tips before we go, tell us some things to consider when changing jobs and,
Yeah.
for instance, and wanting to move like your account. So
Yeah.
I'm working for Offstage Pass, and then I'm going to go work with the Wayne All Show.
Yeah.
I had a 401 here at the Offstage Pass. Some of the challenges is moving to another job and
Yes.
having this 401k.
Yeah.
Just explain that process. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you make sure the right person inherits? Well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
How do you go about that move?
Well, if you have money in a 401k and it's tax deferred, meaning you
Right.
didn't pay income taxes on it yet, you can move it to a traditional IRA, for instance, or to your new employer's 401k. There are two ways to move it. One's a direct rollover, one's an indirect rollover. And you know we're in a technical field. You got to
Yeah.
use the right word when you're having conversations with these people about moving your assets. But here's the thing. If you call your old employer and say, I want to roll over my 401k, send me the check, they're going to withhold 20% of that for federal income taxes.
Okay.
So now you want to roll over the entire amount. You don't have the money to come up with out of pocket. So you
Yeah.
end up short. You owe income taxes.
Yeah.
If you're on a 59 and a half, you owe a 10% early distribution penalty. See how complicated it's getting?
Right.
So you want to move it as a direct rollover. Tell them to
Okay.
send it directly to your
Direct
new
rollover.
retirement account. Yeah, it has to be a direct rollover. And my suggestion is don't put it in an IRA. Put it in your new employer's 401k, right? Because when it's in an IRA, it's tempting, you know? You say to yourself, I'm just going to borrow a little bit, you know?
Yeah, just a pinch.
Yeah,
Another pinch.
yeah, because
And
there are
another
no
pinch.
restrictions on the
Right.
IRAs. You can take it out whenever you want.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, I'm just going to take out a little bit, you know, put it back, and you know what happens, right?
Yes.
Life happens.
All right. So one of the, and this is actually a very good question, as a matter of fact, I think, for the sense that we often not don't think about this, but how do you make sure the right person inherits any money you leave in retirement savings, you know?
Oh,
I mean, so much has happened lately, unexpected happens.
I am
How
so
do
glad
you
you asked
make
that
sure the
question.
right person inherits any money in a
Can I tell
retirement?
you a quick story?
Sure.
And I'm going to share it with you guys too. This woman,
Right.
she started working when she was about 19, 20. She was a teacher, right? So she set up a 403b. That's, you
Right.
know, most teachers have those accounts. And she wasn't married then, so she named her sister, her mother, and her uncle as her beneficiary. So she got married, you know, when you get married, what's mine's yours and what's yours is mine, right? So her husband did the right thing, set up her as the beneficiary. She didn't do anything because she's thinking, oh, my husband's the beneficiary. She dies later on, leaving $1 million in the account. When her husband went to claim that $1 million, the account was empty, big fat zero. And he's saying to the school district, where's the money? They said, you weren't the beneficiary. Her sister was. See? Sister name's on the form. She did it years ago when she just started working. Right? Why? She did not update her beneficiary form.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to check your beneficiary form. I recommend doing it at least once per year. And whenever there's a life-changing event, do you have a new child added to the family? Did you get married, divorced, remarried? Check your beneficiary form every once in a while. Otherwise, you know, when you die, it's going to be too late, you know, and that sister that you ended up hating is going to get, that's the person who's going to get your money, and she's going to be looking
Oh
at
my
your
goodness.
spouse and kids and saying, you see that?
Yeah.
I like that car over there, you know, or that house that I really wanted. I'm gonna get that, and you're not getting any.
And you know what? Nobody's gonna go, oh, he just didn't up
Yeah.
or she didn't just update, so I just give it
No,
back.
because that
No,
husband that
you're
I talked
taking it.
about, he didn't get a penny of it.
He's not gonna
How
give it up.
unfair is that?
Thank you. Not
Yeah.
gonna give it up. Wow, great information here from Ms. Denise Appleby today on retirement and general financing. Any last minute tips for those who will be making the IRA contributions
Well, I'm hoping that's
this tax
everybody,
season?
right? I'm hoping that's everyone.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can tell that it's not as simple as it sounds by some of the things that I talk about.
Right.
Talk to a tax professional and a financial advisor. When you file your tax return this year, talk to your tax advisor. Say, can I put some money away in a retirement account? You know, and how do I do it? What should I do? Which one should I choose? And now that you have the money in there, talk to your financial advisor and say, how should I invest this? You know, see how well the market's doing right now? A lot of people regret not putting money in an IRA last year.
That's
Putting
right.
money in it.
And I guess part of the challenge is, you know, people are afraid to put it and then it goes the other direction. What do they do? So,
Excellent point, which is why you want the financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor,
Right.
right? So I can't give you financial advice. But I do know that there are certain investment strategies that you can use to stop the loss. They can put strategies in place that stop the bleeding, right?
Right.
You know, you buy stocks at $100 a share. You can say to your financial advisor, if it gets down to 80, you sell that baby. I don't want to be in it anymore. So talk to your financial advisor.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, Denise Appleby. Just tell them once again how they can reach you.
Go to my website, retirementdictionary.com. That's my free consumer website. And if you're working with a financial or tax advisor, tell them to call me because I can make sure that no mistakes are made with your retirement savings account.
There you have it.
Yeah, just Google me, Denise Appleby, or go to my website, deniseappleby.com.
DeniseAppleby.com. Denise.
Wakanda forever.
All right. I remembered. See? Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
coming and sharing such valuable information
this was a
on
pleasure.
the platform. It was for me, and thanks again, man.
Yeah,
This
thanks for
is
having me.
awesome stuff. Thank you very much for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to come to the studio today.
You're most welcome.
We truly appreciate you here
Yes.
on the platform of the Way Now Show.
And thank you guys for listening.
Very much so. That's my time today, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say it's that time to remind you, live and let love. Don't forget, the only way to start at the top is if you're digging a hole. And that you should always look around for something great and praise it. Another great, busy, crazy Saturday edition of the Wayne Hall Show. We apologize for two that we promoted today. We did not get to Mr. Felician, but we will have him here live in the studio for you soon. And we will make up for the Caribbean Infotainment Report on Wednesday night at 9. Be sure to join us then. That's when we'll be back right here on the Wayne Hall Show. So until then, keep it locked. Don't go anywhere. DJ Reds is up next. We will be live from a band launch going on Snapfinger Road. DJ Sean will be in at 6 to 8 on reggaevibesradio.com, your platform where information meets music. So until next time, man, Wayne Hall saying, see ya.